Alright, welcome back. So we got a Killer B product here. It's their air oil separator. We finally made one. They're known for some awesome products like the Holy Header equal length manifold, oil pickup, windage tray, oil pan, and a whole other slew of good parts. So they finally designed an air oil separator based on what they've seen in the market. So you got two forces here, another force here, and you have a spiral guide that's all the way down towards the middle, and then you have holes for the drain for the oil. So really cool concept. And the upper part right there, when you have it sit in here, it's totally sealed, so the air just goes around this top section right here. There's no baffles. It's not a baffle, it's just like a cone, right, that separates the air and the oil. So since the oil is heavier than the air, the oil will just spin and be suspended towards the sides centrifugally and then make its way down. So if you see, if it narrows, right, as the air spins, it narrows down, it spins quickly, and then it'll go back up to the top. This here is the top part for the outlet that goes back to your turbo inlet. So other manufacturers have a large solution which deletes the vacuum and just dumps it overboard. Okay, so having a vacuum will increase the ability to evacuate the crankcase gases out of your engine, as well as provide a good ring seal and reduce pumping losses. It also has a Viton O-ring, which is chemical and heat resistant. It comes with very excellent welds, which I covered up with wrinkle black. Alright, I've assembled it together using the 3mm screws, 6 total. Just tighten it down in an even pattern. But before I move forward, we can take a look at the hardware and bracketry that they include. Nice steel bracket, mounts at the strut tower. Comes with hardware. This is probably for the air oil separator there. 2 Allen screws for the strut tower, and they have a collection of nice air-equipped hoses. Here are the fittings. This is a barb for tapping from your crankcase. You got some crankcase hose here. We have some reducers. I may or may not use it, depends how we route it. There's a cap here to plug the rear turbo inlet because we won't be using that. Some zip ties, a 1/2-inch NPT plug to remove the PCV valve port on your intake manifold, and we have some worm gear clamps, which I may not be using, depends. And then we got instructions and a couple stickers. Now here's a size comparison to the previous setup. You can see that it's significantly larger. It has more surface area and less clutter, of course. Okay, so Killer B doesn't include instructions. However, they have a video, but that also leaves people confused and scratching their heads. I hope I'll keep this quick and painless, but as with any AOS on the market, you're gonna have to remove the top mount, okay? And that also includes removing the throttle body, which I've already done. Let's get this out of the way. Next is removing this sucker right here. Okay, so this is the OEM PCV valve junction, and it's positioned down where that red cap is. So this hose goes to a mock-up of what is the PCV port that goes here. 1/2-inch NPT port, and then on this side, this hose goes to there towards your turbo inlet. So I call this the SOL junction. So this is your PCV valve, which is one way. It goes to your intake manifold under vacuum, and then as this closes under boost, oil is going to go this way. So whichever way you go, you're shut out of luck. Okay, you're going to get oil in your intake manifold or your turbo inlet and your top mount. This right here, the front ones, these are your cylinder head ports. Okay, as confusing as it looks, There's two of them on both sides because the one on the aft side is your balance hose. Okay, there's another one right there, the very front one. So they come out up to here, and the other one comes out up to here. So if you were to look at your stock top mount, there would be a pipe that goes across like this. So this cylinder head hose will go here, that cylinder head hose will go here, and then they'll tee up right in the middle, and this would go to your turbo inlet here. So what we're doing is moving any potential for oil to go back into the intake tract. Okay, so you got your crankcase going in the aero separator, spinning this way. You got your cylinder head ports going this way, also spinning the same way counterclockwise, while the air in the inner chamber is going to suck the air back out. So it's going to come out here. So the vacuum source is going to be right here. We're going to cap off this guy down here. Okay, so I removed the hose, put the supplied cap here, and that is it. This Killer B AOS will fit under a Tanabe strut bar. Anything else, don't even run one. I can show you the finished product once I get it all installed, because it's going to be a lot of filming and I need to get this up and running pretty soon. Filming is a lot of hard work. Good evening. There's a lot of changes that I've done which allowed me to get it to where it's at right now. So first off, let's go with the Killer B AOS. I've routed the hoses as best as I could without producing any kinks. So let's start with the crankcase port. So if you look down here where it's coming from the block, you have your T that connects with the drain. We'll get to that, and it goes all the way up. You notice that the hose is different. It's a Parker hose. It's a hydraulic industrial hose that I got from my local hydraulic store. It's really tough as well. And I added a brass 90-degree 3/4 inch outer diameter fitting, which matches the T that they include. That didn't come with the kit, so I had to get it myself. So it goes under right here and goes to the AOS. By the way, I didn't use any clamps because putting them on is really tight. I mean, adding worm gear clamps is another insurance for it to not come off, but you don't need it. It's really tight, and I don't think it's coming off. I'm gonna have a hard time pulling this off the next time I rip everything apart. And we go to the cylinder head hoses. They're pushed all the way in, all the way towards the AOS body. So I got one, the top part right there going to the driver's side, right here going down, and then the passenger side, making a nice tight bend. I had to cut this one short, otherwise it would have kinked there as well, and there would have been a whole length of hose just hanging around. So I cut some hoses longitudinally in half, and then I put some Gorilla Glue in there to keep it from chafing, as well as here It's not that close, but you know, just in case there's some shifting going around. I don't think I need to put any sheathing because I like to keep the hoses warm, as close to the AOS body as possible and near the turbine section and the exhaust. There's a drain going all the way. I'm not sure if you can see it, but here's a drain tee right there, so it taps there. So there's a downslope orientation going down there, and make sure that's high enough. So I also had to cut some of that hose too. And then we come out here to the top, which is a suction hose. Okay, so you guys remember how it looks from inside, so you guys get an idea of what it is. But anyway, so over here as well, I got some Parker hoses too. Getting high enough. Try to get it as neat as possible around these coolant hoses. So I put a 8/0 clamp here for it to stay put. And then I believe that's it, just for that. And I mean, it's simple install, you know, and it stays warm. I just came back from Taco Bell, just had, you know, late dinner, but it's really warm. It kind of feels like, you know, coolant was already running through it, so I'm kind of happy about that. Hopefully it'll keep the sludging to a minimum, if anything, but I mean, it's not going to hurt it much. Now, going back to why we need a vacuum source for AOS, if you look at V8s that run pulley driven or electronic vacuum pumps to get rid of pumping losses, we already have one. It's a compressor, and it's a free mod that we can benefit from. So the larger you go in your turbo size, the more vacuum you'll have if you run a turbo inlet. Okay, so that's the AOS right there. Everything else, you notice that the boost control solenoid bracket is not there anymore. I removed it because I needed room for that. So this is pretty much garbage. I relocated the boost control solenoid right under here. Okay, so it's remote mounted. So it's right through this 8/0 clamp bolt. And then on the cob bracket, there's a fixed nut. So I just used that to cinch everything down. And I got the hoses going in the right places. Alright, so I got some nice red hoses which also match. Same for here. And then for the evap solenoid, I gotta pick up that stupid bracket again. So it was like this before, right? Since it's not there, there's nothing for it to hang on to because I made custom brackets myself. But I use that like a U bracket to cinch everything down. So there's a hole here. The solenoid has thread sticking out, so I just use this to capture it. Because I moved this forward, the stock lines were kinking, so I had to resort to using my other red vacuum lines. So kind of gives it, you know, a little nice eye candy. But that's that. All right, what else? The Grimspeed top mount is on. It feels actually better, even without the tune. This is something that you don't need to tune for. But however, you can also tune to get the most out of it. But just swapping it on, putting it on, you get the benefits of cooler temperatures, cooler charge temps. As far as pressure drop, I'm still making 20 psi, and also not over boosting, not creeping at high RPMs. And then I got the shroud on here, which is also nice. It's a nice piece. I removed the stock shroud, so it's just that it's part of Grimspeed instructions. So the Cobb LF bypass valve is their latest and greatest bypass valve over the XLE, but this one's really fast acting. It's really light. I think they revised the spring, the diaphragm. The O-ring is like twice as large as what the other one used to be, and then that snorkis thing, the elbow is tighter in radius, so it's easier to put in. Yeah, so I put a worm gear clamp there because the pinch clamp was wearing out. And then also I replaced the hoses, put a T here. So this is 6 millimeters right here. I put a 4 millimeter reducer down to there. And then if you look at the front, here's the biggest elephant in the room here. I've got the scoop back in here again. It's a different scoop. My original one, I think I gave it away to someone. I can't remember. But yeah, it's back here again, along with the Perrin radiator shroud. I managed to get it to fit, which is surprising that, you know, with the fatter radiator. I made some modifications to it as well. So right here, the shroud's supposed to reach the 10mm bolt, and that's where you hit it. But because it's so fat, it ends right here, and it wouldn't clear the thread holes to reach. So I ground this right here to clear it. And here there was a tab here also for that. I just chopped it off. The foam is still here, and everything's still tight. It's not going anywhere. It's not moving. Moving along to this way. Initially I had the shroud on this side because Perrin offers two, one for stock intake and one for aftermarket intakes. I put this one back. Lucky I kept this. If I were thrown away, I don't know what I would have done with this, but it's here, even with the seal. Fucking dryer. Yeah, so the reason why I put it back is because this here is open, because if I had taken out the other side from the aftermarket intake shroud, it would have been open here and there would have been some bleed off for the radiator. So I wanted to make sure that the air is still going towards the radiator. It's an extra addition to have this here also, because now this is semi-functional, okay? So there's no hole here. So if you were to just leave it stock as it is and throw it on here, it wouldn't clear like this. I had to do some modification. So where the scoop went inside the stock intake, I had to cut that section because it wouldn't sit like this. So I had to cut some of that scoop on the other side about right here. So air is still being fed. So what it does is, as air goes in the front, somehow makes its way in here, goes in and blows on this section here. So this section is right kind of close to where the MAF housing is for the Cobb MAF housing for this hybrid intake that I made. So when you're moving, it's gonna kind of act like a cold front where it's gonna rip the heat away and keep this area cool. So having, remember, consistent temps on your MAF housing will get you some more accurate readings. And I don't know if I showed you guys this, but it's a silicone, all silicone, non-metal intake. Remember, the Cobb housing is plastic, so I'm trying to reduce as much metal as I can to, you know, get it to be cooler, right? Because more metal is more hot. And you got some intakes with metal pipes that heat up anyway, so I wanted to keep it cool as possible with that, and I think this will help. As far as the Dom Tune number 4 combustion chamber mod, I mean, I can't show you anything right now. It's down there. It's just a peace of mind mod, right? He already showed you the data and the videos of him installing it, like I said, and showing you the proof of dropping temps on the number 4 combustion chamber surrounding areas of the cylinder head. Other than that, I don't know what else to say. I mean, everything is nice and good. It's reliable. As far as me driving it, keeping up with the service, maintenance, I want it to last as long as possible. I don't understand how people just buy these to break these cars, which is beyond me. Oh, and I have one more update. So if you guys see my Instagram page and my stories and my feeds, you see all these parts coming in. So I'm not going to be installing these till around August. I'm waiting for a tuner to come down. I'm going with Clark Turner. He's been doing it for 15 years. So anyway, with the parts, I've got a NVIDIA divorce downpipe catalyst right here, and then I have some air pump deletes, Cobb 1050S injectors, AM 340 liter per hour pump. I got a WRX 255, some gaskets for Grimspeed for all the parts that we'll see in a little bit. Tomei turbo inlet in black, IAG TGV deletes. We've got Grimspeed up pipe with external. Already wrapped everything. And screamer pipe here. We got the Tile 38 MVS 38mm wastegate, and 1-step holder iridium plugs, company 23 boost controller, it's the anti-surge version, and Grimspeed internal wastegate bracket. I might get the adjustable one, but we'll see. So my goal is not to go for max power or like 400 or anything like that. I'm trying to stay at or below 350 because that's like the safe zone. I mean, I could go higher, but that doesn't mean I can always use it. And that's the thing about knowing your limits and when to use it and how often. Otherwise, you break your shit. So I got another video coming up. I put a poll on Instagram about the Perroso system, how much stuff we accumulated. Yeah, so that's coming up. But other than that, I'm going to bed. It's been a tiring week. So if you like what you see, like and subscribe. See you guys later.